people deluded. Now, Bernd Leno, however you want to pronounce his name. I've done a video on this before and I haven't released it, so I might sandwich the two into one. But Leno, obviously, we're now in December now. Maybe not mathematically, but it's half a season or so now. So I think it's time to give our opinions or how we feel about them. I've asked you guys on Twitter and on Instagram and several other social platforms your opinions on Leno. And I think out of 10, a lot of people give him a 6 or a 7. I feel a 7 is fine, to be fair with you. Why I give him a 7, I don't think he's been perfect, but I feel clearly he's still got a lot of question marks. I mean, I told you lot in my preview when he came to the club, I wasn't watching him religiously, but when I spoke to people that have been, they said, one, he's a good shot stopper, he's a good keeper, and he's undoubtedly an upgrade on the current present day check, but set pieces, or he'll let you down with moments of madness, or set pieces, collecting corners and crosses specifically, and that's been a concern. You look at, he has fumbled the ball a bit, and he does look a bit concerning from that. He's not quite Ospina, but he does look an issue with that. For me as well, I do think he's got. Keepers need to be arrogant. Keepers need a healthy arrogance, but I do think at times it comes across as nonchalant at times. Like he's a bit too arrogant. He expects. You've got to be a bit pessimistic as a keeper, and he's a bit too optimistic. He's a bit too full of himself, and that leads to a couple of these errors. Undoubtedly, we cannot lie, people. In terms of how Unai Emery wants to implement playing out from the back, Leno took a while to get into the side for whatever reason we may never find out. He's clearly an upgrade on checking that department. Check's tried the willingness and Check fought as hard as he could before his injury, but Leno's an upgrade in that. Leno's a good shot stopper. There's been games, I wish I actually was keeping a record. There's been games where he's let us down, of course, but there's been games where I think he's made a lot of saves. There's been games where he's got us out of trouble. Like he's made a lot of big saves. Like even the Spurs game, of course he could have done better for the who was it? Was it Eric Dyer's goal? He could have, not just him, a number of players could have marked better. The keeper should have done better as well. But in that game, for example, he made a lot of big saves. Against Liverpool, he made a lot of big saves. United, you could say, what is he doing as well for that goal? He's coming off his line. You've got to decide if you're coming or staying. He does essentially neither. And also, you remember we can now include Southampton for the last goal. But all of them. The Liverpool one, yeah, he palmed it into an area he shouldn't have palmed it in. But I remember specifically Bellerin, Lucas Torreira, Xhaka, and a couple others could have done better in that. The Southampton goal, he has to hold his hands up in my opinion, but we're caught on the break. I've already spoken about Liverpool. Obviously, United, our defenders are sleeping from essentially, we've just scored and we're sleeping already. It shouldn't have had to get to that. Leno, I'm not excusing him, but he could have done better in that regards. Obviously, again, the Spurs mistake. Now, from that set piece, Leno should be doing much better. But then the marking is absolutely atrocious from us. So, it's a poor defensive performance, all in all. He has to hold his hands up. But how do you find fairness? On one hand, he has made some mistakes that do concern me. But on the other hand, there's no denying that he has been an upgrade on what we've had. There's no denying that, okay, he's definitely not the levels. I would love to wake up one day and be proved wrong. But I don't think he'll ever be the levels, or he's clearly not the levels of Alisson, De Gea. I think the jury's still out on Kepa, but I'll probably rate Kepa ahead of him and all of these others. But what we do have is a reliable keeper. If he could just, he's still youngish by keeper's logic. For me, if he could just cut out the arrogance. At times as well, if I look at maybe him and Koscielny need to get to know each other, but not just Koscielny. On a couple of times, the communication between the defenders, with the mistakes I've also said, hasn't quite been there. I feel at times, I like his kicking as well, I like his distribution. At times, he's actually one of the few that I just want to hit it direct to Aubameyang. But at times, I don't think, obviously you have to listen to the manager, but at times I think he puts pressure on us because he kicks the ball into areas where it doesn't need to be. I feel like at times his kicking does harm us. He gives it, especially when a team's on top of us and we can't get out, he can afford to change his approach in regards. I think out of 10 so far, I give him a 7, people. Like I said, I have to be a bit generous. A 6 might be on another day. You guys know I'm a hard man to please. But out of 10, a 7, to be honest. I think he's only going to get better. And if he's not, we've got to shut him. But yeah, man, I feel, on one hand, the errors he's made, he can do much better. But at the same time, I'd class them as team errors. He has to hold his hands up for his part. But it's a shocking part in regards to how we're defending. Full stop. I do think he's up there for errors committed in the Premier League in terms of committing errors leading to goals. Let's go on Bernd Leno stats. But I think a lot of the, obviously, well, like I said, a lot of, just to reiterate the point, a lot of the mistakes I've seen him make this season. Yes, he has to hold his hands up, but at the same time, if you watch them again, there's several reasons as to why we got to that point. And I don't like typically just blaming one man. But what has he got? How many clean? Bro, just show me the clean sheets. He's made 15 appearances. He's made 15 appearances. Ain't trying to show me his clean sheets. Come on, bruv. I think this is his clean. He's conceded 17. That is wrong, man. Where is it? Let me go on the Premier League website. Sorry, people, man. Leno stats. Just show me the Premier League, man. Thank you. Premier League stats, man. That's all a guy needs to see. He's made. Oh, maybe that was right. He's made 11 Premier League appearances, but he's only kept 1 clean sheet. So that says a lot about our defending. Obviously, we know with our club, there's a lot to be said about how we defend. Not turning up in first halves, not being switched on. We have several issues in regards to defence. So with that being said, I don't want to attribute a lot of that to Leno, but there's definitely games where he's essentially let us down. Let me find his only clean sheet. His last clean sheet, he can't have had one. He can't have only had 1 clean sheet because he came on at half time against Watford, I believe. Yeah, it says he's come on for 45 minutes against Watford. I think that's when Cech was injured. And obviously against Huddersfield in the 1-0 he kept a clean sheet. So I don't know if the Premier League or the people that make stats, if they're attributing it to Cech or Cech started the game, or what in it, because it is what it is. But in regards to his Arsenal appearances, I think it says 15 games, 11 already told you coming in the league, and he's conceded 17 and kept 4 clean sheets. I think that's right. Forgive me if I was wrong, people. The icons aren't coming up to specifically tell me what these things are, but I think that's it. Either way, I'm happy with him. I do think the main thing I'm actually more annoyed than some of the mistakes or goals he's had a hand in. I think he's too arrogant, in my opinion. I can't put my finger on it, people. And I know some people feel the same way. I just think he's a bit too nonchalant. Like, when I say nonchalant, I don't mean he's unprofessional. I don't mean he's not switched on. It's just he seems a bit too full of. And again, I'm not talking about him personally. Just on a football pitch, he's a bit too full of himself. I wouldn't say the concentration isn't there, but it's a bit arrogant, people. It's a bit like I need my keeper to have balance. And I think again, a lot of it is his naivety because. I wouldn't call him young, even though I have in the beginning of this. He's 26 years of age. As a professional footballer, you should be pretty mature. We all know he's young for a keeper. In fact, he's probably got another 10. It's mad, guy. He got another 10 years, maybe more in the game. There's no doubt that the main factor that we've actually just got to deal with ultimately is that he's come to the club. He's been an upgrade on Cech. Now, we were worried. There's no way around it. Obviously, we know Arsenal, Emery seems to continue the tradition that Arsene Wenger's had in that when new players come to the club, wait forever to play them. I know Xhaka's forever in the side, but there was a time Xhaka wasn't starting games. Guendouzi was an exception to the rule by Emery, but Leno and Lucas Torreira had to bide their time for starts and to get a regular part in the team. We were concerned with that because I said it then. I mean, obviously, if he's waiting for him to adapt and earn the trust and earn the right to play, cool, fair enough. But from a fan point of view, you was wondering, what is he showing in training, or more concerning, not showing in training for him not to have the confidence to start? We can only speculate as fans. But since then, he's undoubtedly an upgrade. He's undoubtedly an upgrade on the present day Cech. I'll be respectful to Cech because Cech in the last 3 years, he's been alright at Arsenal, but it hasn't been level. So he's been an upgrade on that. And ultimately, Emery and the board and whatever, they've sourced the keeper that they've needed to obviously goalkeep first and foremost. But in terms of progressive sort of play, how the team would like to play, they found the ball playing keeper, something he excels at, something he's not scared of. So them two things are the main plus points for me. He's made a lot of good saves, and I do think only 1 clean sheet in the Premier League, if I remember what I said correctly. I think a lot of that ultimately has to come with the keeper, but I think he's been shortchanged because of our defensive approach. I don't think it's fair with him, because if I look at a lot of the back five, I've actually, again, I'm not getting at anybody, I'm not trying to critique anyone, but out of the back five of people that have played in defence or whatever consistently up until this point in the season, he's probably one that I have the least criticism for, to be fair with you. But the thing is, away from individuals, our approach to defending is improved small by small, bit by bit. But I think in the last couple of weeks, we've kind of taken our foot off the gas. It's never going to change within a couple of months. You know, Emre, it's going to take him 3 years, but it's silly mistakes, really and truly. There's only probably been about 2-3 goals since we played in the Premier League so far this season where you can take your hat off and say they were good goals, they were bangers, they ripped the net. More often than not, specifically to my club, it's because of not stopping crosses, not following runners, hospital passes, silly things in terms of the edge of the box, not smelling danger, just serious things that you'd actually see in not sounding negative, but the sort of errors, I see them at under 23 level. I see it there. We make the same mistakes at them levels there. I expect it from them and below. I don't expect, especially when you look at our defence, and we've got some people that are pushing on 30, experienced, some people that have won World Cups, whether they were main part or not, experienced, and I'm just seeing the young sort of players putting in the most shift, to be fair with you. So yeah, it's concerning for me, man. It's concerning for me as well. It's just the tracking of runners, especially, and that's not necessarily his fault. I mean, look at the last miss. Even I just said the Southampton mistake is on him, innit? Like, I think he's come out. You only come out if you're gonna get, and I feel he was caught in two minds. But by the same logic, Maitland-Niles, who isn't a fullback, is not switched on to the run Charlie Austin's made. Koscielny and someone else is not in. I think it was just Koscielny, but Koscielny, either way, he gets in between Koscielny and Maitland-Niles, and maybe someone else was there. They're not smelling runners, they're not sniffing danger, they're not marking runners. So to a degree, Leno's set up to fail in that regards, and he's kind of alluded to that, not the set up to fail part, that no one was tracking him. So that's for me. The approach has to lay with the players, because obviously Maitland-Niles isn't a fullback, but he's not switched on. Emery's put him in that position, so he has to take a lot of the blame. The defense and every goal we've ever conceded, or every goal conceded by a team, is not just one person's fault. There's several things we could have done, and I think Leno, unfortunately, he's the one that people are going to see the most in it. Like, most people aren't going to be like you or me watching me talking and you lot watching this, in the sense that they're going to watch that Arsenal versus Southampton game again and look at what the fullbacks or the defenders were doing in the build up to a goal. They're just going to see Leno come out and ultimately not make it. Mistakes happen. Leno, to be honest, some of the mistakes I thought Leno would make would actually be via playing out from the back, and it will happen. Getting caught in possession, trying to Cruyff turn, or poor passes that the opposition take advantage of. I haven't seen him make any of them mistakes. It's more or less been saves that were kind of straight at him, or that he should save. Don't get me twisted, people. There are some saves I think he should have made, or some games I think he could have done more in, but on the large part, out of 10 so far, I give him a 7, to be fair with you. There's still a long way to go, but at the end of the day, considering he didn't start this season, 7 is a very good result, man. And I don't think he'll ever be the top class keepers that them man there, that Liverpool and all them keepers have. But at the end of the day, if he's consistent and reliable, that's all that matters as a keeper. You look at, I know it's completely irrelevant, but I think Newcastle's Dubravka could play at a slightly higher level. I'd actually like him as a second choice keeper at Arsenal. Or Fabianski, for example. Them man, they're never going to be quality players, but they're reliable. Ultimately, you can't win anything without a good keeper, and I know we won the FA Cup, forgive me if I'm wrong, with Cech, and no disrespect to Cech, I think he's a model professional, I don't like getting at him. It's past him. Like, it doesn't matter if it was positioning, ball playing, marking, probably the agility, stopping crosses that Cech, stopping shots that Cech in his heyday would have been light for him, taking him too long to stop, or he's not stopping it. So yeah, I'm happy with Leno. If he could just find balance with collecting crosses as well, and probably he's a good shot stopper, but at times I do think he punches saves into dangerous areas. If he could possibly, with the help of the goalkeeping coaches that have way more experience than me and see it more often than me, if he could palm things into proper areas, like the Liverpool mistake, ultimately he palmed it into an area like I said, but Bellerin, Mustafi, Torreira, Xhaka, and a few others all could have done better. If he possibly palms that into a better position, maybe that goal doesn't happen. Instead, it's straight into Milner's path. And on the topic of Milner, Xhaka's not there to close him down. So our defenders or midfielders, we have an issue smelling danger. We get caught ball washing a lot. So a lot of that isn't on Leno. But like I said, people, out of 10, I'll give him a 7. So I ain't got much more to say. I'm speaking longer than I need to. On that note, people, DG, I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking with me. People, deluded, I'm back again. I've just got some quick couple thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys in regards to Arsenal and Leno. So we'll start off with Leno. Now, it took Leno a while to get into the team. I mean, everyone, including myself, was thinking there must be a reason why he's not blooded. We know Arsenal do this thing where when Xhaka was signed, actually, when to a degree, when Lacazette and Aubameyang was signed, to a degree, or historically, when like you saw with Torreira and Leno, when a player signs, rather than just playing them, we slowly blood them in. They might get minutes, and you wait till their fans literally are dying to see this player in some capacity. It took Leno a while. We thought to ourselves, what's he showing, or more concerningly, not showing in training, to think Unai Emery isn't going to play him and things like that. Clearly, people that are more familiar with the matter knew it was a case of his time will come in it, and he's had to be patient. I don't think Leno's been spotless. I mean, you look at the Liverpool goal, not just him, many people could have done better. I still think collecting his handling at times scares me, but he's come a long way, and I think he's finally settling down. We could all agree he's looking 30. He's even in against Liverpool, he made some big saves for us. He's had games where he's having good games for us. His distribution is good. I mean, it's not perfect. There's many times where his poor kicking's led to opposition chances, but we have to be fair that the way we're trying to play as a team, we have to discount the fact that from every now and again, there's going to be a stupid pass that Leno or anyone else plays, whether it's long or short, and it's going to end up in something comical, or oppositions are going to get chances. The way we play, there's a couple things we have to discount, but I like how he's moving. It's nice to have a keeper that has confidence in himself and displaying confidence to the rest of the team. Like I said, it's not perfect, and I don't know for his communication levels with the rest of his back 4, 5, including him. I say this because you look at incidences like Socrates and Mustafi. They were playing a lot of the time. We were deep defending in our own box for no reason when our line needed to push up against Bournemouth, right, people? And we're playing people on side. You look at Brooks. You look at those incidences before that, people, right? Obviously, if you're a keeper, or Sunday League, my keeper, George, would be telling you to get out, because he can see, for obvious reasons, you're playing people on side. Get out, push up. Obviously, that's happening at professional level. Obviously, Arsenal players are telling each other. But for me as a fan, seeing it on the TV, that concerns me, because you would think, okay, maybe he doesn't hit communication levels with the rest of his teammate, maybe language barrier, cultural issues, just shyness, whatever. It's still taking time. But Mustafi, Socrates and Leno, they're all German speakers. 2 German internationals. Socrates has spent a good portion of his playing career in many countries, specifically Germany. So you'd think he would be able to tell him that. So if he did tell him that and he's still not listening, then that's very concerning. Or if he didn't say it, it is concerning as well, people. But I think Leno's been good, and hopefully it continues. Still a bit of question marks, but he's come a long way, man. And it's nice to have a keeper that we can have some confidence in. No disrespect to Czech. I don't like to rub Czech out, but one day everybody's at the peak of their powers, and the other day people decline. It happens. It's nothing to be ashamed of. Moving on, I don't know what to make of Arsenal. I think we're doing well. At the end of the day, we sit, 5th, 6th, wherever we are. Not that it matters at this moment in time. A point behind Chelsea, 3 points behind... Wait, let me check that. I want to make sure I'm speaking the realness to you guys. Let me check the actual Premier League table. Yeah, we're 5th, sorry. We're a point behind Chelsea, 27 points us. They've got 28. Spurs have got 30. We've got a game of Spurs on the weekend, so we can put ourselves in a good position, drawing level with Spurs, breathing down the necks of Liverpool, who... are on 33 points. Obviously they're going to play another game as well, but that's all you can do. And what would it say if that Arsenal got Unai Emery and would be second, even if for a period within the next game weeks? We've got Man United and Spurs, so it's wishful thinking to think that will happen, but do you get? And it shows why you shouldn't judge teams based on what's happening before January, because Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal have all gone through crises at some point this season, and they're all back. And now you see the narrative of people are saying Spurs are going to suffer. Now the same media are highlighting that Spurs, despite the fact that they didn't buy anyone, having one of their statistical best starts. We lost against Arsenal and Chelsea. We heard it was a tough job, a long job, which it actually is. The language has changed. We've heard Chelsea are amazing and things like that. The language has slightly changed. Liverpool's still doing what they're doing, and so is City. So I don't think you can draw any conclusions on many of the teams. But how do you quantify it? Because it's nice to see we're winning games, we're fighting, we're turning the game around in the second half. But by the same logic, I think we're not playing to our potential. I think on a couple of games we've rid our luck many a times. You look at Cardiff, you look at Bournemouth, maybe Fulham in the first half, Watford to a degree. Liverpool game where we got a point, and a couple others. It's great that we've drawn, we've got to get things out of these games, but on another day, these things go against us, and you have to admit, how long do we, I don't want to call it luck, but how long do we ride this luck? How long do we get away with this sort of thing? Against Wolves and Palace, it went against us, but yeah, and then when you look at it, we're still lacking clean sheets. Like against Bournemouth, another game, another lack of a clean sheet, but we're still unbeaten in 16, 17 games with Spurs to come. Like I said, we're still not leading before half-time in the Premier League. We've conceded 16 goals after 13 games. That's only happened in 26 previous campaigns. We've scored 7 goals after 15 minutes in the second half, which is the best in the league, but we can do better than that. We've scored 20 goals in the second half, but how many have we scored in the first half? How many times have we been leading? It's nice to see that we're up there in terms of recovering points from losing positions in the Premier League, but we can't afford some of these slow starts and some of these approaches we've got away with in games, especially against the top 6. Socrates is also, I don't know if he's echoing what I feel as well, but when I hear comments like this, it makes me feel that I'm thinking the right thing, in the sense that he says we are at 70-80% in regards to our potential. Of course, we need to improve. Of course, we would like to put Arsenal in the top teams in the Premier League. We try every day for this. We need to improve sometimes to not lose the ball, or when we have the ball to finish the action and score. That's the difference we need to improve, and we know this. We work every day, and I'm happy to be part of a team that work very good together. So that's true, and I mean, that is true. There's times, especially when it comes to, if you look at Bournemouth again on the weekend, we really shot ourselves in the foot conceding that goal before half-time. We should have went into it at 1-0, but we were given a warning sign. Literally, Leno gave the ball away, and it led to Brooks being marked for offside, and Kohler's actually caught high up the field for that one. A couple of moments later, they make it count with a goal. So just being a bit more proactive in that. I'm not name-dropping and blaming Iwobi, but Iwobi lost the ball, and what annoyed me more is that there's several opportunities we could have brought this man down, or stopped this counter-attack, or just disrupted play. That's one thing we need to add to our game to go to the next level. So on one hand, it's nice to see that ultimately it's better. We're having a better season than many fans thought our season, especially because of the last 2 years, or post-Arsene Wenger would go. So we're having a good season. At the end of the day, we're scoring goals, we're winning games, we're fighting, we're doing all of these things. But I need to see more clean sheets. I need to see us playing in a bit more convincing fashion, turning games over in the first half, because no matter, for all the good things Unai and the team are doing at the moment, that's one theme I was saying in all my reviews last season. There's games where we want to go in, where we should go into half-time at 3-0, games we should kill off in the first half and not rely on the second half. So we know we're a second half team. It'd be very upsetting if we lose this unbeaten record to the Spurs or the Spuds, so we can't let it happen. It's important, it's vital we don't let it happen, in my opinion. So yeah, man, it will kill me to see that happen, but it is what it is. So yeah, I've got nothing more to add, people. So all I can do is say thank you for your time, and thank you for your loyal support. Get in the comments, subscribe, and do the rest if you wish. I'm out.